Hey guys, Tony Throw the Grill. I'm pretty stoked. I believe I bought the cheapest Jeep Wrangler off Facebook Marketplace that's running and that's not completely rotted out, which is really hard to find nowadays. So what I have here is a 2005 Jeep Wrangler TJ. It's a sport model. It has a 4-liter engine in it, which is the iconic Jeep engine. This thing's a run forever. It is a 6-speed manual, but the only downfall is it has a little over 200,000 miles on it, which it runs great. So I'm not too concerned because about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I bought a Jeep Wrangler, not Jeep Wrangler, a Jeep Cherokee XJ that has a little over 200,000 miles on it, and that thing runs great. I'll drive it anywhere. I would drive it right now, 10 hours cross country and back, and I wouldn't bat an eye. I know that thing would make it there. So I'm not too concerned about the high mileage on this because I know it's going to run for a good while. So I found this Jeep on Facebook Marketplace. The owner was asking $4,000 for it. I didn't think that was a bad deal, but I had a number in my head on what I wanted to spend on it. Um, So it was only actually a couple streets away from my house, so it made it pretty convenient. So I went and checked it out. I went over it, showed the owner all the issues that I was finding and how much I was gonna have to put into it. Um, I mean, it does have some rust on the body. The windshield's cracked. The windshield frame's rusted. The typical spots of rust under the doors and around the back of the Jeep, around the corners and where the tailgate is. Uh, it's rusted. So I showed her all that. Showed that it needs tires. The front axle needed U joints. Drive shaft needed U joints. So it had all that stuff. Not a big deal for me because I'm going to fix it up. I've been around Jeeps my whole life, so and I work on them all the time. So I was like, not bad for me. But I told her what I needed to put into it, so I threw an offer out to her for $2,000. She didn't really like that. She thought she can get more out of it. So I told her if she ever changed her mind, uh, that she just messaged me back. So probably about a week went by. She seen that I was selling a 2007 Mini Cooper. It was turboed. She wanted to trade even up for it. I was asking $4,500 for that Mini Cooper, and I told her I'd take $2,000 off of the Mini Cooper if you gave me the Jeep, and then $2,500, and you can have the car. She also didn't like that, which, I only wanted to spend so much on it because I knew what I wanted to put into it, and I had a budget in mind for this Jeep. Uh, so she didn't like that. So a couple of days later, she finally messaged me back and said, "You know what? I'll take that $2,000." So I did forget to test drive the vehicle when I first looked at it because I shot her the offer and she turned me down. So I was like, there's no sense of driving it. She's not going to take it. Anyhow, she ended up messaging me back and said she would take the $2,000 for it. So I went and drove it before I bought it. I was like, you know what? Let me drive it really quick before I pay you. It drove really good around town. It was all in city driving, so I didn't get it over 45 miles an hour. Anyhow, it drove good. Had some issues with 4-wheel drive coming out of going back in the 2-wheel drive. It was getting stuck in 4 low, 4 high. Um, so I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and take it. I liked it. So, and obviously most people that are selling these things, they want an arm and a leg for them. They think they have gold, and really it's just rotted out Jeep. They're asking like $3,500+ for something that needs a new frame, which I feel like it's insane. We got to stop paying that kind of prices for stuff like that. Just let them just walk away from them, let them sit, and then realize that what, those things are completely rotted out. I can't ask that kind of money, so then we can get them for reasonable prices. Anyhow, but yeah, so I went ahead and I bought the vehicle. I drove it home, and my shop's about a half hour away from my house. So the lady left her license plates on it. So I decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and drive it over here. Well, she didn't mention something about the vehicle before I bought it. Uh, and I found out when I was driving it over here, and I got it over 50 miles an hour. So I'll go ahead and take it on the road and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, so uh, the lady forgot to mention that this vehicle has death wobble really bad. So when I was driving it over to the shop, I got this thing up to it was like 55 miles an hour. I was drinking my coffee. And mind you, this is a manual Jeep. Well, it started death wobbling as soon as I lifted the cup up to take a drink. And I tell you what, I spilled that all over me, all over the Jeep. So I'm going to see if I can get this to death wobble for you. Go figure, this thing's cruising now, 55, no death wobble. That's kind of odd. Usually when they death wobble, they keep death wobbling till you get it fixed. So I'm not really sure what's causing that. I was thinking it was going to be ball joints on how bad those tires looked. That the ball joints were going to be shot. I'm not really sure now. It's kind of weird. Usually got to fix them to get rid of that death wobble. Well, I'm definitely going to have to get it up on the rack and see what's going on with it. But also, when I took this thing out for a test drive for the first time, I put it in gear and, well, put it in 4 low, 4 high, and I could not get it out of 4 low for the life of me. Eventually, I got it to move, but man, it was a struggle. It was a struggle. But I got it back in 2-wheel drive so I can get it back home. Well, I think there's a huge common issue with the 4-wheel drive on these things. They have linkages with bushings, and when you put it in 4-wheel drive, sometimes those bushings wear out and everything starts binding. But they still have a kit that's a cable that replaces those linkages. So if I can't fix those bushings, I'll probably just go ahead and get that cable. It looks like I found one on Amazon for like $70. Now, I used to work at 4 Drive Hardware, so I used to install those things all the time. I've never put them on my own vehicle, but they're pretty nice. So it looks like this time I'm gonna put it on my own vehicle. So if I can't fix the bushings, I am gonna go ahead and put that kit in there. All right, so the the main reason why I wanted to get a TJ, so the years are from from 97 to 2006. I just feel like the TJ was the last real Jeep. Just how simplistic they are. The basic radio, crank windows, nothing fancy about it. I have nothing against the JKs or JLs or anything like that, JLUs, JKUs, the Gladiators, nothing against them. I actually owned a 2020 Jeep Gladiator. I love that thing, but I didn't want a car payment anymore, so I ended up selling it. I bought a 99 Cherokee XJ that wasn't running, got it running, and you know what? I love that thing, but it does have 200 plus thousand miles on it. So I mean, it is old, needs some work to it, just like this does. But it runs and drives. And then the other reason why I really like the TJ is because I grew up around them. My family's a big Jeep family, and my dad's owned Wranglers ever since I can remember. He had the old CJs. He had a Scrambler. He had, the one I don't think he had was a YJ. But I remember his 99 Sahara, his gold. That was the first vehicle I remember going off-roading in. And that thing was a blast. So I just love TJs. I actually have another '05 TJ that's it's a Rocky Mountain edition. It's lifted, 35s on it, lockers and all that stuff, and I enjoy that thing. So that's why this one I'm not really gonna really build up and make it anything crazy. I just wanted to do some basic off-roading, nothing wild, and just be able to take the top and doors off of it and go driving on the weekends. But the whole purpose of this thing is to build it for less than $4,000 total. That's with the Jeep, and that's with doing the lift kit and doing all the aftermarket stuff. So Amazon is definitely going to be my best friend, because it's not going to be super expensive stuff that I'm putting on it. It's just going to be stuff that's going to get the job done and get it to where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and we do a walk around on it, and I'll show you some of the bad about it that I'm not too excited about. All the rust that's on it. Nothing on the frame. Frame's pretty clean. I probably will do pour 15 on it though, just to seal the frame up and make sure it doesn't get bad. But yeah, let's do a walk around on it, and I'll show you some of the bads on this. All right, so on this Jeep, I think some of the worst rust is actually back here. You can see also the tailgate's pretty rusted. You can see that they were trying to patch it up or cover it up for a little while, but it's on both sides. I'm not a body guy, so I've never really done a whole lot of rust repairs, but I've been a mechanic for a while, for over 15 years. I think I can make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and fix all this rust that's on it. There are some on the fenders. I think it's on the other side. Oh yeah, you can see some of the paint is kind of cracking here. Nothing crazy, but this fender here is rusted. And then on this side, underneath the doors, rusted. Obviously, it's going to need some tires, but I'm putting a lift on it, 31, so I got to replace that anyhow. Oh yeah, and the top, the top. It looks like, I don't know. It's a Smitty built top. Somebody just put some holes in it and tried to zip tie it and get it fixed, but I already ordered a top for it. I found one on Amazon for like $200. It's another Smitty built, so it'll do what it needs to do. And then the seat here, they're a little stained and worn out, but it is what it is. I'll probably just put some seat covers on it. It's missing the back carpet. I probably won't even put that in there. I actually like running my Jeeps without the carpet, just because I can spray them out after I get done wheeling or whatever, and I don't have to worry about them. And then another big thing is right here, the window frame. It's hard to see, but there's some rust there. Same with the other side. So it's definitely going to need a new window frame and a new windshield and all that rust repaired. But I'm going to go ahead and get it on the rack. And I can show you guys underneath the vent, kind of go over it. It does. I couldn't get to do the death wobble, but I know there's an issue with the front, so definitely want to do a little extra going over it just to make sure there's nothing major going on with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get it up on the rack. So if you can see here, you can see this valve cover has all kinds of oil and crud all around it. And then if you go to this back side here, it's a little hard to see in the shop, but you can see, look at all that oil coming from the top of the engine. So I'm definitely thinking, the lady was telling me they took it to mechanic and they said it was going to be the rear main, which, I mean, it still could be leaking. But to be honest with you, what I'll probably do is clean that off, put a little oil dye in, and take it out for a drive. But once I fix up the drivability issue, I'll do that, get the oil leak checked out, make sure it is the valve cover and nothing else. All right, so this is the first time this has been on the lift. So right now I'm just gonna kind of glance over everything. I'm not gonna start checking everything over. We're just gonna do a glance, just double check everything. So when I rode under there, I seen that. So I knew automatically I was gonna need U-joints. So we're gonna figure out what I'm gonna do from there. I don't know if I'm gonna replace the whole shaft or if I'm just gonna try to get U-joints in there. We'll see. But I got on there and I seen that this drag link and the tie rod and track bar were all recently been replaced, along with the steering dampener. So I know they were trying to find some type of drivability issue, 100%. This other U-joint isn't blown apart like that, but it is bad. Sway bar links are kind of looking a little rough. But the nice thing about it, you look at that frame. I mean, for a Jeep that I paid $2,000 for. I mean, man, that frame is pretty clean. There's also the oil pans leaking too on top of that valve cover. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just fix the valve cover. This isn't leaking too bad. It's not like it's dripping on the floor. So maybe I'll just clean it off, fix the valve cover, and if it starts leaking bad, then I'll replace it. And then we'll move back. You can definitely see the oil leak there. But I think all that's, I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be rear main also, but we'll see. I'll put some oil dye in it. But the nice thing about it, I mean, you look at this frame, it is super clean. Oh, there's the linkage. It doesn't look like it's all worn out, but it is also an 05, so maybe I could do some adjustments and get the shifter and linkage to work right. But, I mean, look at that. That's factory paint on that frame. Super pumped for the price. I mean, even back here looks pretty good. All right, the rear main's leaking. Not too worried about that. I have the drive shafts are definitely U-joints are worn. I get a vibration going down the road. Tires are pretty bad. The body's a little rough, but it's not bad. I mean, for the frame being as clean as it is, I'm not worried about the body. Normally, when I would check this front end over, I would have somebody do a shakedown for me really quick. But I am here alone, so I can't have anyone do the shakedown. So I'm going to just take a pry bar. I want to check these ball joints and some of this other stuff and see what's going on with this death wobble. It might not be these ball joints. I was kind of looking at these control arms. They look pretty rough. So I might end up having to replace the control arms. So I'm just going to take a pry bar. What I like to do is put a pry bar between the C and the axle and push down. And usually when you do that, you can get the ball joints to move, which it did not do on that side. Now, the U-joints are definitely blown, so they did a lot of moving. I'm going to check this side. No movement, so pretty wild. I think I might have been wrong that it was the ball joints. I already ordered ball joints just because I looked at the tires and I'm like, man, these ball joints have to be worn. Well, I was definitely probably wrong. So I'm going to pry up on this. When I do the drag link, I like to put the pry bar there and pry up on it. No movement. Same with the other side. No movement. See if I can get the track bar here. No real movement. Check this drag link. Oh, that's quite a bit up and down here. So I might end up replacing this tie rod end here on this drag link. But man, not as bad as I thought. Now the bushings on these control arms are all swelled up and cracking. So I don't know. I already ordered the lift kit and the top, some rock sliders, and a couple other things to get this thing up and going. All right, so definitely not what I thought it was going to be, so I could probably return those ball joints. And I'll probably order some control arms with the money I spent on those ball joints. Because they look pretty rough. So I guess I should have got it up on the rack first and seen what it needed versus just going off an assumption that it's probably going to need ball joints. So I'll probably go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get the lift on there. I might wait to do the control arms I'm going to put the lift's only like a basic lift, so I might wait to do the control arms, replace this tie rod end, and put the lift on it, get some tires on it, and see how it drives. And if it drives okay, I might wait on those control arms. And then I definitely need to hurry up and get a top on this thing. If you guys are interested in this build, I'm gonna build this thing out as best as I can for under $4,000. That's including the $2,000 that I spent on this Jeep. So I only want to spend another $2,000 to get this thing up and going. So if you guys are interested in this build, please like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks, guys.